1961, CORE undertook a new tactic aimed at desegregating public transportation throughout the South. These tactics became known as Freedom Rides. The first Freedom Ride took place on May 4, 1961, when 7 blacks and 6 whites left Washington, D.C. on 2 public buses bound for the Deep South. They intended to test the Supreme Court's ruling on Bonnington versus Virginia, which declared segregation in interstate bus and rail stations unconstitutional. In the first few weeks, the riders encountered only minor hostility, but in the second week, the riders were severely beaten. Outside Anniston, Alabama, one of their buses was burned, and in Birmingham, several dozen whites attacked the riders on only 2 blocks from the sheriff's office. With the intervention of the U.S. Justice Department, most of CORE's Freedom Riders were evacuated from Birmingham, Alabama to New Orleans. John Lewis, a former seminary student who would later lead the SNCC and become a U.S. congressman, stayed in Birmingham. CORE leaders decided that letting violence end the trip would send the wrong signal to the country. They reinforced the pair of remaining riders with volunteers, and the trip continued. The group traveled from Birmingham to Montgomery without incident, but on their arrival in Montgomery, they were savagely attacked by a mob of 1,000 whites. The extreme violence and the indifference of local police prompted a national outcry of support for the riders, putting pressure on President Kennedy to end the violence. The riders continued to Mississippi, where they ended further brutality in jail terms, but generated more publicity and inspired dozens more Freedom Riders. By the end of the summer, the protests had spread to train stations and airports across the South, and in November, the Interstate Commerce Commission issued rules prohibiting segregation for transportation facilities.